Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Patmos. It is early in the morning on March 13th, 2026. Woke up this morning, got a cup of coffee, started reading the news, and came upon an interesting piece in the New York Times about the big problem that we now face in this war with Iran, and that is the bottleneck at the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a little canal or strait between Iran and the coast of Africa or Oman and that part of the world. And 20% of all of the world's oil passes through that strait. So the world is heavily, in some countries more than others, the world is heavily dependent on the transiting of oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. Well, Iran has effectively blocked it. There's almost nothing getting through except what they want to get through. They have managed to bomb and sink U.S. tankers. They have been mining the Strait of Hormuz, and we've been trying to stop it, but we don't have the assets in place to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So there's so many points to make about this. So first of all, this is an embarrassment. Let me just say right off the bat, I am no fan of Iran. I'm not rooting for Iran. I have personal uh, reasons to be strongly supportive of Israel. And I don't want us, the United States or Israel, to lose this war. There's nothing I would have liked more than if it played out the way they said it would, that this big aerial bombardment and decapitation strike would result in regime change, and the people would rise up, and everything would be hunky dory, and there'd be a nice democracy, and Iran would become a member of the League of Nations and be a responsible partner. Well, we've heard that fantasy before. We've tried it multiple times, and it has yet to work. We got our butts kicked in Vietnam. We got our butts kicked in Afghanistan. And would anyone like to suggest that Iraq has become some great shining city on a hill with democracy? I don't think so. This whole notion that we can go in and bombard our way to victory and turn these Islamic countries into democracies is foolishness. It has never worked. And, doing the same thing over again, hoping it'll work, is the definition of insanity. Well, we went in just like the just like George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle. We went in throwing everything we had at Iran, literally everything we have, short of nukes. We went in and bombarded uh, Iran. It's now 2 weeks tomorrow that we have been bombarding Iran, spending billions of dollars that we don't have to demolish the country. And we have largely done that. We have demolished their defenses, structures, buildings, killed their leadership. We did a decapitation strike and took out their leaders, and we were expecting that this would be celebrated in the streets of Tehran and the people would rise up and take over and there'd be a democracy there. Well, guess what? It hasn't worked. There's even, we killed their Ayatollah, and now they have another one who's even a more hardline Ayatollah. So regime change hasn't happened. We've pummeled the country, no question about it, but they're still there. And they have responded like Muhammad Ali in the Rumble in the Jungle, absorbing the blows, playing the rope a dope, and striking back when the opportunity presents itself with sharp, strategic responses, like the Strait of Hormuz. And right now, we don't have an answer to that. We don't have the military assets or the capability right now to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. It's going to take a lot of redeployment to do that. And probably it's going to take, boots on the ground, which is going to result in a lot of American deaths. So this is an unmitigated catastrophe. The reality is, what Trump and Hegseth, the strategy they have, hasn't really achieved the goals that they said it was going, that they said it was supposed to achieve. All it has really done is just uh, pummel Iran, but not knock it out. And so, why did this happen? This is the concept. And now, for those of you who know, I'm a doctor, but I'm also a management executive. I have a master's degree in management from the University of Southern California, Marshall School of Business, one of the top 20 business schools in the country. And one of the things that the Marshall School of Business is really at the very and number one in along with Harvard Business School is in leadership. And we learned a lot about how effective leaders become effective and what creates an ineffective leader. Trump has made one of the most basic management leadership mistakes that you can make. This is the principle behind the emperor has no clothes. He has surrounded himself with obsequious sycophants who will just reinforce whatever he says and whatever he thinks. They won't offer contrarian points of view, probably because they'll get fired if they do. This results in everybody coming to a conclusion that they all think is right, and then it doesn't work, and they don't know, how it happened. It's called the Abilene paradox. It's very well described in the management literature. It's the Abilene paradox that resulted in many major business catastrophes, for example, and other catastrophes. For example, when the space shuttle blew up, everybody knew the O rings would fail if it was below freezing or below 40 degrees. Yet no one spoke up because they were all, being obsequious sycophants. And there's so many more examples of this kind of thinking. When you surround yourself with people who agree with you, you're a bad, ineffective leader. The most important thing an executive, a CEO, a senior leader should do is surround themselves with people who will tell him what he doesn't want to hear, or her what they don't want to hear. Someone who will say, "Sir, I respect your point of view, but have you considered this? Have you considered that? They might do this, they might do that. This might not work, and here's the reasons why." And a good CEO won't say, "Shut up, you don't know what you're talking." They'll say, "Thank you. I want to hear differing points of view. I want to hear from all the contrarians out there." And then they make a decision. That's what an effective CEO does. An ineffective CEO, and Trump is an ineffective CEO, surrounds himself with obsequious sycophants who will just say, "Yes, sir, whatever you say, sir, you're right, sir," and they won't tell him the truth because maybe they don't even know. Like, I don't think Hegseth has the qualifications to even think through this. Nevertheless, what Trump has is a cabinet full of obsequious sycophants, all of whom gave him a thumbs up to his rumble in the jungle. And right now, I am sorry to tell you, it is failing. The United States is failing. We have spent 50 billion. We have borrowed $50 billion a week for the last 8 weeks, getting ready for this and doing this. We are bombarding Iran like nobody's ever seen before. This is shock and awe version 3.0, and it's not working. They're still standing. There's a new Ayatollah, and he's there just as defiant, if not more defiant. And despite so much destruction of Iran's capabilities, they still have they still have a big stockpile of enriched uranium that they were working on to get it to be, useful nuclear material for a war. They still have it, and it's buried somewhere, and we haven't gotten to it. They still have it, and they could use that. It's crude, enriched uranium, but it could be used in a dirty bomb. They still have missiles. They're still getting drones. They're getting lots of help from Russia, strategic help, drone advice. They're getting help from China. And of course, neither Russia or China are putting boots on the ground, but they are providing material assistance to Iran. We are alone in this. Our allies in Europe. We don't have any allies in Europe anymore because the Chomo in chief has alienated everybody. So, what we've got on our hands right now is an unfolding, mitigated disaster where we have blown through a lot of our munitions, depleted our military munitions reserves, borrowed billions upon billions of dollars that we don't have to prosecute Shock and Awe 3.0, which didn't work the first two times we tried it, and now we're trying it again, and it's not working now. And the United States has got egg on its face. We are being incredibly embarrassed and outmaneuvered by little old Iran, who is stepping on our neck right now, choking the world of oil. And what is the United States doing? We are deep into our strategic petroleum reserves. We are taking oil out of the bank because we can't get enough now, and we're using that to run our energy economy. We are stealing Venezuelan oil. Maybe that's why we invaded Venezuela in the first place. We had nothing to do with narco terrorism. Maybe Trump knew he was going to be invading Iran, and it might be an oil problem, and so that's why we went and took Venezuela. In any case, we have an unmitigated disaster. And let me make a little prediction here. Unless and until we are able to open the Strait of Hormuz and allow free flow of oil out of the Persian Gulf, which right now we can't. There's no insurance company that will insure any tanker going through there. And our tankers are, Iran is sinking U.S. tankers. I don't know if you saw that, but they bombed, set ablaze, and sank a U.S. owned tanker 2 days ago. And we don't have an answer for this. And unless we come up with an answer quickly, we can only sustain this for a couple more weeks. And then I think the economic impact on the United States, on the global economy, and the pressure that Trump will feel from others is going to become unbearable. What options? I'm no military strategist, but it's pretty much intuitively obvious. What are Trump's options? Well, more of the same. We continue like George Foreman came out round after round, more of the same until he was completely and utterly exhausted. And with one combination, Muhammad Ali won that fight, probably the greatest fight in the history of boxing. In any case, we're exactly in that position. We look stupid, just like George Foreman, pounding away while Iran, playing rope a dope, absorbing the punches and striking back strategically, is winning this thing. We are at risk of losing this war in a most embarrassing and humiliating way, all because we didn't anticipate the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz and come up with a way to prevent that from happening, all because Trump doesn't know anything about leadership and management. He doesn't understand basic principles of how to be an effective executive. He surrounds himself with obsequious sycophants, which leads to the Abilene paradox. Why did we make this decision? I don't know. Everybody in the room said it was a good idea. Well, that's bad management. Sorry. This is basic stuff. This is basic, MBA 101 kind of stuff. Anyhow, that's where we're at today. And I think personally, what pains me the most is not only that the United States is not achieving the goals of regime change, and we're not winning this thing. The other thing that pains me terribly is the realization that Israel put its faith and its hope in Trump, thinking that he knew what he was doing. Well, Israel may have made a big miscalculation too. I wouldn't do anything with Donald Trump. The man is he's not very bright. He certainly doesn't understand management. And Israel aligning with Trump on this one may have, in the long run, put itself in an even worse position. The hope was that Israel would remove Iran as a nuclear threat. Well, maybe temporarily they have, but if Iran survives this and their Ayatollah is still there and they still have that enriched uranium and they have friends in Russia and China and North Korea, and Pakistan, and they have allies, those are all nuclear nations, by the way. Iran doesn't have to build a bomb. They just have to buy one. And I think there's a lot of countries that would be very willing to slip, Iran a nuclear weapon under the table in return for some oil or some cash or some combination of the two. In which case, Israel may have only gained a temporary reprieve and put itself in an even worse position in the long run. And that's my concern. And that's why you can't say that I'm a supporter of Iran. I'm not. I'm a supporter of Israel. But I think Israel needs to be smart. And being smart means not listening to Donald Trump because he is not. So that's my rant for the today. And we got a lot of things in there. We got the Abilene paradox, obsequious sycophants, the rumble in the jungle, the Strait of Hormuz. And right now, Iran has its boot on the neck of the United States, and we are hurting because of it. And what Trump might just do, he only has three options, more of the same, um, cut and run, and or boots on the ground. I don't think the United States is going to support a big boots on the ground thing. Iran has 1.2 million soldiers. The most we can put into that conflict would be 250,000 boots on the ground. We are going to be outnumbered 5-1. It's not going to be an easy thing. We might win a boots on the ground thing, but we are going to take a lot of casualties. So Trump is either more of the same, boots on the ground, or declare victory. We won and exit, just like we exited Afghanistan, just like we exited Vietnam with our tail between our legs. After 9 years of carpet bombing North Vietnam, we couldn't win. We lost and we ran away with our tail between our legs. He might very well have no choice but to come up with some sort of a fake we won and celebrate it on Fox News and exit the whole thing, leaving the Iranian regime intact, leaving Iran with stockpiles of enriched uranium, and leaving Israel to worry about this all over again another day with an even more entrenched and more defiant and more vengeful Iran than we had before. Hard to imagine any country being more vengeful than the Iran we had, but we may have just created an even more vengeful Iran. So this is my rant for today. Bad management. Sorry, Trumpy, you should have gone beyond the undergraduate degree. The undergraduate degree is nice. It's like a high school diploma. You should have gone to graduate school and learned a little bit about how effective executives actually function.